pancake and power slam. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of Pancakes and Power Slam Show. We are here once again, episode 604. We're going back to Stack'em. Stack'em's been getting a lot of good positive reviews, so we're going to go to the Stack'em series. All right, so Halloween Havoc is the apropos subject to rank. So I'm going to rank today the top every match, every main event match on the Halloween Havoc WCW Halloween Havoc show. So without further ado, let's see what we got for the PNP Nation. Memorabilia is in the building, abs in the building. It's going to be lots of fun. Let's see. Burrito, nice. Burrito is back in the building. Very nice. Burrito. All right. Okay, so favorite. Let's do Burritos. Let's see. Favorite Halloween Havoc match: Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Second favorite: Rey Mysterio versus Dean Malenko. Very nice. All right, so we'll get into the all of the rankings. So let's get to the list here. Let's get to the list here. Let's get it going and get it going. Dion is in the building. What's going on? Good to have you back. All right. So, of course, this is what we have. We got Kane Like Fire. We have Shucky Ducky Quack Quack. We've got Mid. We've got TL Hopper Stinker. And we've got Duke the Dumpster Trash. So that is the categories for today of the main events for the Halloween Havoc pay-per-views. And so we're going to start off with the first main event, which was Sting and Ric Flair against the Great Muta and Terry Funk. Sting and the Great Muta against Ric Flair and Terry Funk. Halloween Havoc 1999. Of course, you see Gary Hart back there too. This is the Thunderdome match. The Thunderdome match of Halloween Havoc 1989. The inaugural Halloween Havoc pay-per-view from NWA WCW. And it's really interesting because I remember watching this, and I remember Sting and the Sting and Flair was an interesting combination because, of course, Flair was, big on the Horsemen at the time, and made a babyface turn. And of course, a few months after this is when they turned heel again of the Clash of Champions episode. Unfortunately, that's when they actually a couple months after this. It was January of '90, I believe. It's about a few months, and so. Yeah, so they were teammates, and Sting was like an honorary Horseman. But at this one, they won the match. It was an interesting match. It was an interesting match. I think I'm gonna give it for the sake of the match, for the stakes of the match. I think it was a good match, actually. And Sting and Flair's tag team was pretty cool to see. So I would give a Chucky Ducky Quack Quack good. I would say that was a good match overall. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Rorito thought it was a great match. Um, cool. Yeah, so Thunderdome cage match 1989. All right. All right. Let's get into number two. The number two main event is Sid versus Sting 1990. Sid versus Sting Halloween Havoc 1990. So, oh man. So this was the one with the fake Sting coming out. So, it was interesting because I think it was Paulie Dangerously that was commentating, if I'm not mistaken. He was the heel commentator. And he kept asking, why is Sid going away from the ring? Like, this is for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. You can't win the title on countout. But for some reason, Sid continued to go out of the ring and potentially get counted out. So he kept saying that point, which I agreed with. Why is Sid continuing to risk losing the title by getting counted out? And the way that they did it was just so awkward. It was so awkward. You were leaving and then you were getting distracted by the horsemen who were coming out. And then all of a sudden it gets the camera shot of them looping around and going back to the ring. Sting goes for a slam. And then Sid goes on top of Sting. And then he gets the 3 count. He wins the title. And then the real Sting comes back. So it was like a doppelganger, which I think Dangerously even said it was Wyndham. And so he said, it must be Barry Windham. And so he even told on who it was. And then Sting comes out. Then he hits Sid with the belt, which is technically a disqualification. But it was cheating because it wasn't the real Sting. But how was it proof that it wasn't the real Sting? The referee just assumed that it wasn't the real Sting. It was so discombobulated and so just kind of oddly put together. And then all of a sudden Sting hits him with the belt and then rolls him up to win again, or to win the match, or the match resumed, but it wasn't announced that it was resumed because it was announced that Sid was the championship, and I think balloons started coming down. It was a very odd match. So because of that, I'm going to consider this match, unfortunately, a TL Hopper stinker. It wasn't trash. It wasn't fully trash, but it was a stinker though. It was a stinker. I wasn't a big fan of how this was conspired. All right, PNP Nation, what do y'all think about this match? Where y'all at? What do y'all think about this match? Any thoughts? Doc is the man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Rachel thought it was trash. Doesn't remember. Ricky doesn't remember the pay-per-view. Af says he has to watch it. He has to watch the pay-per-view. Yeah, it's Halloween Havoc 1990. So I watched all the WCW Halloween Havocs, and I rewatched the main events recently for this show. And yeah, so all right, next stop is 1991. Halloween Havoc 1991. That was between Ron Simmons and Lex Luger. This is an interesting state. This is an interesting point of Ron Simmons' career. He wasn't at the main event level yet because he would end up winning the title in 92. But he was being pegged to have that type of spot. So, Dusty was near him. He got the Dusty Road endorsement, baby. So there was just kind of testing the waters at this point as far as just Ron Simmons being a main event player. Because even at that point, he was fresh off of being a part of Doom. And they were a heel tag team with him and Butch Reed. So he wasn't. So Doom was a big team in '90 as heel tag team partners. And so then he goes and does his All American gimmick, and I think that it was a good move. Him as a babyface was really good. The fans were getting behind him. The match with Luger was decent. I mean, I really boils down to was it good? Was it mid? I wouldn't say it was mid. So I think to showcase for the sake of showcasing Ron Simmons, Lex Luger's he did okay in his part. It was okay, and so I don't think it was mid though. I think it was at the end of the day. I think it was barely in the category of sucky ducky quack quack good, but at the end of the day, it was a pretty solid match. I'll give it to him. It's definitely a pretty solid match. What do y'all think, PMP Nation? Thoughts on Luger and Ron Simmons? Decent match, could be better. I'd rank it along with your Dun Cage match ranking. Yep. Good call on there. Good call. I agree. I think it was shucky ducky quack quack good. I think it was good but not great. But I don't think it was mid. So I think it was a little bit like barely the shucky ducky quack quack good. But good but not great. All right, next we have why do my things not come in all the way? My sometimes my pictures don't come in all the way, which is very odd. All right, so who do we got next? We got the see, this one is funny. This one here is very interesting because this one's actually going to tie in to the after party. This one's going to time into the after party. It's a interview that I had 7 years ago, an exclusive interview I had with this person 7 years ago about this particular match, about this match here. So I'm going to start bringing a lot of my retro interviews. I've interviewed hundreds of people, like 400 plus people on PMP. A lot of my interviews are archived, and they're super relevant for today, and they're very good. So I'm going to start posting a lot of my older interviews. I've got interviews with people who's passed away now, so I'm going to bring that back up. I'm going to start bringing back some of my old interviews because I used to interview people every week. So I'm going to start bringing that back because the subjects were evergreen and they were really good subjects. When I interviewed Jake Roberts, he talked about Sting and how he felt about Sting's match. And so we'll talk about that on the after party here soon. So without further ado, that leads into the next match, Halloween Havoc number 2, 1992, was the Coal Miner's Glove match between Sting and Jake the Snake Roberts. Sting and Jake the Snake Roberts. So this was Jake Roberts's just kind of a hiccup run at WCW. He left WWE. He was doing, shortly after his feud with The Undertaker, ended up having a WrestleMania match with The Undertaker, leaves the WWE for a hot second, goes to WCW. I remember when he came in, just kind of from the ringside and just attacked Sting. Man, I was like, no, not Jake, not Jake. So yeah, I mean, he ended up having a short feud with Sting, and this leads to a Coal Miner's Glove match. Coal Miner's Glove match at Halloween Havoc 1992. So Sting goes up the pole. Cactus Jack comes in, rolls the snake over, has the snake in the bag, gives it to Jake the Snake Roberts. At that time, he has like a deadly snake, a very small, deadly snake. I believe it was like a cobra, perhaps. And so Sting grabs the Coal Miner's Glove. He comes down from the pole and basically he hits Roberts to the point of him getting legit bit by the snake. He had to have a legitimate bite from the snake in this match. Did he get a bonus for it? I don't know. I doubt it. But he had to eat. He had to take a legit bite from the snake, just like how he had to take a bite during his feud with Randy Savage, man, which was crazy. And Savage had to take a bite too, a legitimate bite. And so, man, you're taking bites from real snakes. Wow. But this match, man, honestly, this match wasn't good, man. Unfortunately, it was a stinker. Sting is my all-time favorite wrestler. Everybody at this point knows that, who knows me in professional wrestling. But I was very just underwhelmed by this match. It was just a very oddly put together match. It was a bunch of bells and whistles. The way that Jake Roberts had to take the snake bite and how that was the pin and how he was down because of it. And then Sting was just kind of up and hovering around after the match. And Jake Roberts was just kind of taking the bite the whole time. It was just, it was off. It was just really off. So wasn't a big fan of that. PNP Nation, what do y'all think? We're at, the rankings, repeating the rankings is Kane Like Fire. That's the best. So Fire. Shucky Ducky Quack Quack Good. Mid. T.O. Hopper Stinker. Or Duke the Dumpster Trash. Where Rachel think it's trash. Duke the Dumpster. No, he thinks a T.O. Hopper Stinker. Yeah, I agree. Randy remembers when Randy Savage got bit by a snake. Yes, indeed. All right, so let's go on to the next match, which was Halloween Havoc 1993, which is this one. This match between Vader and Cactus Jack. Vader and Cactus Jack. Interesting feud between these two, between Vader and Cactus Jack. It was, it was an interesting match. It was an interesting feud, and also an interesting match between the two. To me, it was an awkward. It was an awkward feud. It was just kind of like a hard hitting feud between the two, between Vader and Cactus Jack. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a bad match. It was just an interesting feud. And for this to be the main events of Halloween Havoc 1993, both of them were big names. Cactus Jack wasn't necessarily the main event caliber as Vader was. Vader was definitely a main eventer. But both, there wasn't really a clear-cut babyface here. Cactus Jack wasn't necessarily a clear-cut babyface, and Vader definitely wasn't. And so, to me, to be honest with you, it was an okay match. But it wasn't great, man. I'm going to say it was mid. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a stinker, but it wasn't necessarily good. I would say that it was mid between these two. PNP Nation, where y'all at? Was this the match where Cactus Jack lost his ear of the ropes? I believe that was a match in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was a Germany match, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think that it was a match that they had during a German tour, and then you had Foley get a part of the ropes. Like he did a spot where he actually got his head caught in the ropes, and they had to rip the rope off. And then when they ripped the rope off, unfortunately, um, his ear was a part of it. So that's unfortunate. All right, next we have Halloween Havoc 1994, which is Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. So mind you, this is when Hogan came to the WCW. So of course in '93 was WrestleMania 9. He had his feud. He came back and had he won the WWE Championship, WWF Championship at the time, as just kind of a run-in. Bret Hart tells him to go, which I think was very odd. I think, 30 years later, Bret Hart is still bitter about that because just how they put that together was just really odd, because it was like Yoko beat Bret, but it was kind of screwy, and then Hogan comes out and just kind of like tries to enforce it, and then he tries to stand up for Bret, and then Bret tells him like, no, go. And then that leads to Hogan beating Yokozuna and taking Bret Hart's main event championship spot. But what happened was Hogan was supposed to Bret was supposed to put over Hogan was supposed to put over Bret. So because of the steroid trial, they were trying to get rid of like WWE being represented by big guys, big muscular guys at the time. So Bret Hart in '92, he took the reins and he was able to, win. He beat Flair. So from what Hart has said it before, it was supposed to be a match between, I believe, at SummerSlam between Hogan and Bret. But unfortunately, Hogan didn't want to do it because of how he looked at Bret Hart. And so so Bret kind of gives the reins to Hogan during a WrestleMania, and then he beats Yokozuna. Yokozuna then beats Hogan at King of the Ring, I believe it was, in '93. And then Hogan leaves, does his movies for a little bit, goes to WCW '94, kind of resurrects his red and yellow career. One of his first foes was Ric Flair, Halloween Havoc 1994. I tell you what, man, rewatching this match, honestly, it got me super geeked, man. It got me super geeked. For one reason, Mr. T was the special guest referee. That wasn't the reason, but Mr. T was the special guest referee, which was a good addition to the match there. But I got super pumped, man, because Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan during that match, their commentating was amazing. And Bobby Heenan is one of the greatest, not only one of the greatest managers, but he was definitely one of the greatest color commentators ever. And just the passion that he put into the match, rooting for the heels, which made like the listeners want to root for the babyface more. He was about to just keel over, because like it was like he was out of breath, just panicking, palpitations, just heart racing, and just rooting so much against Hogan, saying that he hated Hulk Hogan. Hogan gets some comeuppance, back and forth. They do the ref bump with Mr. T. Flair dodges. Hogan bumps into Mr. T. And then all of a sudden you have Sherry comes up, and then Jimmy Hart comes up the cage. So Sherry climbs the cage. Jimmy Hart climbs up the cage, pulls Sherry's dress down. Her undergarments are showing, so she's embarrassed. And then all of a sudden you had Sting in suspenders and glasses and suspenders, looking like an honorary horseman at the time. He's out there kind of protecting. Then you had a Max person come out and beat up Sting with the bat, beat up Jimmy Hart with a bat. It was just so much chaos, man. But Shivani and Bobby Heenan was selling it immaculately. And so the masked guy beats up Sting with the bat, beats up Jimmy Hart with the bat. And then you had Sherry come out and be a part of it. Then Hogan gets his comeuppance. Then he does the whole gimmick where he's coming up, does his Hogan, refuel, resurrection, rejuvenation, so to speak. He clotheslines both Flair and Sherry. He drops the leg. He moves Flair over to Mr. T, drops the leg on Flair in front of Mr. T. Mr. T's handcuffed at the time on the ropes. Mr. T reaches over for the 3. I mean, it was just so much of that match. If y'all can, if there's one match that I would recommend watching from the list of WCW main events, Hollywood Havoc main events, it would definitely be this one, Hogan and Flair. Man, this match was absolutely, in my mind, it was Kane like fire. This match was Kane like fire. Not because of the abilities of Hogan. I mean, Flair is amazing, but in the ring. But Hogan, he's been that type of guy, man, where he knows his weaknesses when it comes to his in-ring work, but he's such a character, man. And he knows that he's a character. You got to give it up for Hulk Hogan when it comes to that, man. He's such a character, and he plays his character so well. He's became one of the most popular names in all of professional wrestling. Not because of his in-ring work, of course. It's because he knows how to sell. He knows how to give. Like, he knows how to, like, of course, there's some politics and stuff like that, which, I know a lot of people in the pro wrestling business since, my long tenure of being a journalist at this time. I get it. I know all of that. I can understand why people say what they say, and I don't disagree with them, actually. But when it comes when it comes from Hogan, regarding Hogan from the standpoint of his in-ring work, man, he's so good at what he does as far as being a character. He was definitely a perfect character to Ric Flair. He was dirty, trying to get to him. And Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone just did an incredible job. Yeah, Brutus. Yeah, brother Brutus Beefcake. Yeah. It was absolutely amazing, man. It was best Heenan line. Marty Jannetty tried to escape by throwing himself through the plate glass window. Yeah, that was the barbershop gimmick. Yeah, very nice. In my eyes, this match is the best Havoc match ever. Yeah, I mean, this right here was incredible. It was an incredible match. So, Hogan screwed Brett. Yeah, that was it right there. That was, if there's one match that I prefer, that I would recommend you watch it again, it was definitely that. Then we get to the next year, Hogan versus the Giants. So 94, you had Kane like fire, Hogan versus Flair in the cage. And then the year after, you have Hogan versus the Giants. So this starts off with some monster truck gimmick. Then after the monster truck contest, Hogan wins the monster truck contest. Then all of a sudden you had Hogan and the Giant jousting. They're on top of a building, and they both get on top of the building, and then Hogan rakes his arms, he kind of flails his arms and just kind of calls the Giant to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. And Giant falls off the building to his death, I guess. And so Hogan comes out and Hogan apologizes, and fans are cheering for him, but all of a sudden he's trying to bring it down, and then then the Giant comes out, and then a bunch of bells and whistles. You got Jimmy Hart helping Hogan. Joining the Dungeon of Doom. He's helping the Giant. He joins the Dungeon of Doom. He helps Hogan first because he comes out with Hogan, and then he pushes the ref out, hits Hogan with the belt, joins the Dungeon of Doom. The Giant comes out, or the Giant's there. He bear hugs Hogan, and then you have the Yeti, as Tony Schiavone would call him, the Yeti, comes out to do the most awkwardest sandwich bear hug in pro wrestling history. There's never been a bear hug that looked as worse as this sandwich of a bear hug from the Giant and the Yeti, who's mummified at this point, having this type of convulsive bear hug and Hogan. And then you have Lex Luger and Randy Savage come out to help. Well, actually, before that, you have Savage and Luger, and then you have the Yeti. And when Savage and Luger comes out, you thought that they were going to help Hogan. You thought they were going to help Hogan. But then you had Luger. They cut away from it, then they had to get back to it because you had Luger turn on Savage and then join the Dungeon too. This was the weirdest finish in Halloween Havoc, probably pay-per-view history. And then what tops that is Piper debuting, and they cut a promo that ends the Halloween Havoc. Like this darn thing was just a stinker. It was a stinker. And that was the following year with Hogan, as far as Piper come out. But this one here, you had this weird ending with the Giants celebrating, and they still saying Hogan was champ, but Giants celebrating with the title. It was a head scratcher. Hogan has been a part of just the weirdest things. This main event afterwards, with the biggest part of the main event being Piper coming out. This main event was due to dumpster trash. This was due to dumpster trash. It sucked, man. It was bad. It was absolutely bad, man. Horrible. PNP Nation, what do y'all got? Money Hungry. I love your reaction to this match. Av is laughing. Yes, Yeti was horrible. Definitely a lot of main events. Burrito thought it was trash. I agree. It was horrible. Yeah, got thrown off the building. This is absolutely horrible. The Yeti. Av remembers the Yeti. All right, we got a few more before we hop over to the after party. We got the next one. Let me get the graphic for that too. I don't know why my graphics are just acting gray. All right, so what is this one? Okay. So this one was the following year. What I told you before, between Savage and Hogan. So this one was Savage and Hogan. All right. So between Savage and Hogan the following year. So at this point, this was in 1996. This was a few years after, actually a few months. I'm going to say a few months after Hogan made the turn. All right. So a few months after Hogan made the turn, at this point, he has turned heel that summer. So this was in October. In July, he made the turn and went over to, join the NWO. So this match was between him and Savage. So you got Savage coming in as Slim Jim. Now, mind you, Savage was in that spot because Hogan turned on Savage. Savage was the person who he got the big leg from. So that was Savage's role in getting that main event spot. All right. So the match wasn't bad, actually. It wasn't bad. I don't think it was very good because there was just a lot in it. At this point, Hogan was the heel, so he wasn't having that. He was a good heel, but he wasn't at that. At that point, he wasn't at the rate of like coming from behind, the Hogan that people loved, as far as like coming from behind, the Hogan that people just wanted to just rally behind. He was playing a heel. He had like a wig on for a second, like a toupee type of deal, wig type of deal, and he took it off. And then the giant choke slam Savage rolled him in. Hogan gets the win, and then Piper comes out afterwards. And the core of the last segment was just Piper cutting a promo on Hogan. So to me, I would say that this match here, it was mid. It was mid because again, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a stinker, but the way that this main event was put together, it was just kind of all over the place in a bad way. Like the cage match between Hogan and Flair was it was a lot of stuff. It was chaotic, but it was chaotic in a very good way. This was chaotic in a bad way. And so and then Piper comes out, takes a lot of the shine from the main event. I mean, I was cool with Piper coming out. I like that. Thought it was mid too. Yeah, Hogan's hair. Yeah. So let's go to the next one. We have 1997. That was 1996. Next we have 1997. 1997 was Piper versus Hogan in the cage match. This was Piper versus Hogan in the cage match. Now, interestingly enough, this was a year after Piper debuted in WCW, and they had the main event. And this is what I actually liked about this match, but I thought that the booking was odd though, because they had a match at Starrcade around that time too, not too far from that time. But in 97 though, in the Halloween Havoc match was the cage. And so what was interesting about this match was Piper won clean. Like he beat Hogan with a sleeper hold. And Hogan went out, and Savage, came in. He was on the top of the ropes on the cage area and tried to do a double axe handle of some sort, or an axe handle, single axe handle, double axe handle, whatever he was trying to do. He didn't make it. And so Piper capitalized on it, and he beat Hogan. But it was the main event, but for some odd reason, weird reason, it wasn't for the title. I remember watching that back in 97. I was like, and I remember watching Nitro every single week. Thunder, Nitro, well, Thunder was about to come. But Nitro every single week. And I was like, why isn't this for the title? Why do they not have enough faith in making and giving the title to Roddy Piper. Like, even if it's for a short reign, like make him WCW World Champion. Why not? I mean, he's had a legendary career. So I thought that, always thought that was weird to me. Like he beat him clean, give him the title. So because of that, and because I mean, the match was okay. So I'll say it's mid. It wasn't good to me. It wasn't a stinker, but it wasn't good. So I'll say the match was mid. All right, we got a couple more, ladies and gentlemen. We got a couple more. The next one is 1998. 1998 was Goldberg versus DDP. Goldberg versus DDP. So for those who actually bought the pay-per-view, which I didn't buy the pay-per-view at that time, I didn't buy the pay-per-view at that time, but I was. But I thought that was really interesting. That it was a run over. So I believe like it was run like a bunch of pay-per-views, like channels went out, and so they actually had to. So actually they did the replay on the Nitro following the pay-per-view. They did the full match. So I was able to watch the full match because of the technicality, the technical issues. I actually thought that this match was good, man. I thought this is one of Goldberg's all-time best matches. And so, with that being said, I think that I'm going to put this one at a. This one was shucky ducky quack quack good. DDP really gave Goldberg an opportunity to really execute and really showcase his wrestling abilities, and he really took Goldberg to the limit. And I think that he did a really good job with that. It was a really good match, man. I really enjoyed watching the match. So I definitely think that was definitely one of the better all-time Halloween Havoc main events. Rarito agrees. He thought it was good. Quack whack. Savage Hogan, big down on the fan who rushed. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. I got a couple more real quick. We got 99, which was Goldberg Sting. 99 Goldberg Sting. So this match was fast paced. I mean, I think both of them was very in a very good spot at the time. They both showed their athleticism. Unfortunately, Goldberg, as a fan at the time, I was a big fan of Sting. But at that point, in '99, they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do with Sting, and like he was still black and white Sting, but he wasn't really the Crow anymore. He had the whole seek and destroy gimmick, and if I'm remembering, that was the heel turn, like with Lex and trading with Hogan and the Dillon thing, and James A. Dillon was like the commissioner at the time, and it was just a lot of stuff going on, and they ended up doing Goldberg and Sting. But I mean, the match itself, though, I mean, although that there was a lot of stuff going on at the time, and they're trying to figure out what to do with Sting. The match was good, though. I mean, the match itself was good. So how about that, ladies and gentlemen? You have two Goldberg matches as ranked good. So for those who say Goldberg is just simply there to, be and it's not very good as a wrestler, I don't agree, because I mean, there's when he puts it together, Goldberg can put together some good match. So, he thought it was a Hopper match, a Hopper stinker. He thought this match was a stinker, Marito. I thought it was a good match. It was a good match. All right, and finally, we have 2000. We have the last Halloween Havoc, which was Chronic versus Goldberg. Now, this followed, which I thought should have been the main event, which was Scott Steiner versus Booker T. This was an odd thing. This was an odd deal, man. So you had Brian Adams cutting a promo saying Goldberg's not here. Goldberg comes out. He beats Chronic in a handicap match. I believe the stipulation was Goldberg had to retire if he lost, and so he speared Brian Clark through a table that barely broke, and it just wasn't that good. So because of that, I think that I'm gonna put this. It was action packed. There was a lot involved there. Yeah, I'm gonna put this one as mid. I think it was mid. It was mid. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was fun. That was another episode of Pancakes and Power Slam. Stack 'em. That was a hopper because Sting's open challenge and beat him clean in about 4 minutes. Yep. Was blatantly announced as a non-title match, resulting in title change for somebody. I agree. Now I agree with that. I agree with that totally. I think the match quality was a good match, but I agree with you 100% there. For all the external things, I thought it was trash. I agree with you 100% there. Yeah. Chronic match more trash, as big as the trash I sent in garbage truck yesterday. Didn't like it. Nice. Yeah, I'll say it was me because it was I think Chronic and Goldberg was it just the way that they did it was just weird. The way it was booked was weird. The match itself wasn't terrible. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't good to me, but it wasn't horrible. So I think it was mid. So all right, ladies and gentlemen, look, that was fun. That was fun. It wasn't oh man. So we see, yeah. Thankfully that wasn't a main event match because that would have been in the Duke the Dumpster Trash category. All right, y'all. I'm gonna spend a few minutes over in the after party. Actually, I'm going to play at the after party the Jake Roberts interview of what did Jake Roberts feel. So we talked about Jake Roberts versus Sting in this series on the Patreon on the after party. What did Jake Roberts feel about his match with Sting? So I asked him that question, and you're going to get the answer. And I agree, Chronic Sting was better than the match. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. That was fun. Of course, follow me at Chris Prolific. For those who are patrons, go ahead and yes, I agree. I really like Chronic's theme song, by the way. So go ahead and follow me at Chris Prolific, and let everybody know about this Stack'em series. Come up with ideas. So a lot of times, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have rankings based on like pay-per-views that are coming at the time, or particular news that come at the time, and something that's relevant to the topic, unless it's a patron, and then we're going to give patrons the precedence. Of course, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. It's less than $1 a week. We get to hang out at the after party. You get exclusive interviews. You get exclusive information about things that are coming up as far as news is concerned. Less than $1 a week over at the Patreon. Pancakes and Power Slams. Patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. This is Dr. Chris. 604 episodes in the books. Without further ado, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.